Just how did we come to celebrate Father's Day in the first place? As Nikki Batiste tells us, its origins may surprise you.
Ready? There we go. Good job.
Pancakes and a parenting playbook
Could be his nose.
helped score 2019 Pro Football Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez an award no touchdown ever could.
Just like you learn how to catch footballs and run routes, you got to learn how to be a good father. There you go.
Gonzalez is one of this year's Fathers of the Year, and his trophy looks a lot like an Oscar for dads.
I always tell my kids, it's not my job to make you great. It's my job to teach you how to be great.
The title puts the retired NFL star in some pretty impressive company of men. But to really appreciate it, you have to go back more than a century to a woman.
This is Sonora.
It is indeed.
She's the mother behind Father's Day, Sonora Smart Dodd.
This right here is her father.
William Jackson Smart, a Civil War veteran and widowed father, raised Dodd and her 5 brothers.
I love this.
Barbara Leesky and Betsy Roddy are Dodd's granddaughter and great-granddaughter.
She writes, people often say to me, Mrs. Dodd, fathers sure aren't what they used to be. This remark is enough to get my dander up.
Yeah, that's her. That's her.
Dodd went on to start her own family in Spokane, Washington. And in 1909, they attended a church service on Mother's Day, itself a new idea.
She then approached the minister after the service and said, well, I wholly support the idea of Mother's Day, but what about fathers? When do they get their day in the sun?
The following year, the very first Father's Day was celebrated in Spokane on June 19th.
She had hoped to actually have Father's Day be on June the 5th. That was her father's birthday. Unfortunately, it was a little too late to get that done.
But that's why it's in June?
Exactly.
On that inaugural Father's Day, Dodd handed out red roses to living dads and white to honor the deceased. But unlike Mother's Day, officially recognized by the government in 1914, dads wouldn't have their official day for more than half a century.
When Father's Day was started, people made fun of it, actually.
Mother's Day was a much more easy concept, I think. There was a sense of fathers being stoic and not perhaps being used to being showered with affection.
Then, some retailers in New York City joined the battle to make Father's Day, well, Father's Day.
Would there be a Father's Day Council had there not been a Sonora Dodd?
I don't think so.
Yes, there really is a Father's Day Council.
We've recognized more than 500 outstanding dads.
Dan Orwig runs the nonprofit group. His day job is in merchandising.
Our goal was to build the awareness of the Father's Day holiday, which was not nationally celebrated officially.
At least not until 1972, when President Richard Nixon made Father's Day a permanent national holiday, a day Sonora Dodd lived to see.
Talk about an amazing final fruition of a dream. A dream that starts by simply wanting to honor her father.
An honor the Father's Day Council continues with their Father of the Year award.
Remind me how to play this again?
So you say you're not Father of the Year material? You might consider taking a page from one of Dave Engeldal's books. He's dubbed himself the world's best father and has no shortage of documentation.
I created this character that is often, distracted, clueless, completely inappropriate, as a way for me to work through my own fears as a new parent.
What you done right here?
His photos feature daughter Alice, now 8, and of course, that signature mug.
Is he the world's best father?
He's up there, but not exactly up there.
I'll work harder.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you rate him as a dad?
Maybe a 7?
A 7?
A 7? Okay, now look up. Lift your chin up a little bit.
Still, the world's best dad is now his full-time calling. And in that, he thinks, is a message for dads everywhere.
I love you, kid. My own biggest fear as a parent is being distracted. A lot of the photographs it's a reminder to myself, like, to put the phone down and watch the kid grow up. I don't always achieve that goal, but that's one of my goals.
And we'll go to the slides and the swing. And
Don't let the sport coat fool you.
how silly.
Simon Isaacs is ready
No, do not kiss the pole.
for the playground.
Chicken taco?
That's his 2-year-old daughter Kaya selling imaginary tacos.
Oh, here's my taco. Thank you. 6, 7. What's next? 8.
And while Simon's afternoon with her may not look like much, certainly no more than what many moms do every day, the 36-year-old entrepreneur sees it as a small act of revolution.
When you talk about a social movement, are we witnessing it right here, 2 guys on a weekday in a playground?
You know, in itself, it's not a revolutionary act, but the impact of all of it is revolutionary together, meaning, you know, guys involved in their kids' lives in a really deep way. You need help? Let's go. You know, who can only finish half sentences because that's what parenting is about.
Isaac's other baby is a website. He's co-founder of Fatherly, a compendium of practical parenting advice aimed at America's biggest group of new dads, millennials.
The truth is, 80% of millennial dads, 80% of dads that were born after 1980 claim that they're the primary grocery shopper, which sort of blows people's mind when it comes to thinking about sort of what is really happening around the household.
Isaac says today's dads are different. Nearly 2/3 of households with kids have 2 working spouses, and as women have pushed into the workforce, dads have pushed onto the playground, or at least they've tried to.
The number one source of stress, it's basically understanding that we have to work no matter what. I would love to spend more time with him, and sometimes I can't.
A Boston College study out this week found most dads believe childcare should be evenly divided, but only about 1/3 actually get there. Even Simon Isaac's wife, Liza, can relate.
Any partnership is always a balance between sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's 20-80, sometimes it's 80-20. I think the intention to strive for 50-50 is a beautiful one, and I think there is, like life, no perfect equation.
Trying to find that perfect equation generally means a lot more work at home for dads, and advertisers have noticed, hailing dads as everyday heroes. It's a portrayal of dad that's a little different from what we're used to. Think Homer Simpson, Al Bundy,
I'm home!
Archie Bunker.
If it's too hot in the kitchen, stay away from the cook.
For a long time, father didn't know best. But real dads have come a very long way since 1966, when President Lyndon Johnson set aside the 3rd Sunday in June for Father's Day, emphasizing dad's strength and stability.
Father would come home, read the newspaper, not pay much attention to the kids really, and still be considered a good father because he was making the family financially stable.
Psychologist Ray Levy grew up in the 1950s, when dads were expected to be breadwinners and disciplinarians, but not much else.
Nobody actually believed that fathers could be warm and soft. That was an unusual father.
We know now kids that get that time and attention from their fathers do better in school, on the job, and in their own relationships. That's according to research that barely existed a generation ago.
That's one of the reasons that we speak of fathers as having been the forgotten parent. Nobody did much research on fathers, it was all on mothers.
Reading and talking and singing to them.
That's why Levy founded the Fatherhood Project out of Harvard's Mass General Hospital. One current study, postpartum depression in men.
The daddies on the bus say, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Its Dads Matter program is part playdate and part workshop for men struggling with the new equation of fatherhood. Fathers like high school teacher Garcia Dalzone.
You know, growing up, you know, in my household, like, you know, my dad giving me a hug and then saying I love you, those things kind of really didn't happen that often.
And though they still trail moms, fathers have nearly tripled the time they spend with their kids. David Anchundia works nights and then takes care of his daughter during the day.
There are some days where I'm just like, I'm beat, and we're there playing, and we'll be playing on the floor, and then next thing I know, she's like, Dada, wake up. And I'm like, oh, whoa, what happened?
That doesn't happen to any of us, by the way, just so you know.
As an exercise, the guys try to imagine what their children will say about them in 20 years.
In 20 years, I hope she says that I was there for her, like, no matter how busy I got, no matter how tired I was, that, you know, I made time for her.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Of course, 20 years is a long time.
Clap your hands, hooray. If you're happy and you know it.
So if you're lucky enough to have your dad around, whatever his age, now might be the moment to make some time for him.
Ah, yeah. Nice, Herbert. Awesome.
William Eggleston is one of the giants of color photography, among the most influential artists of his time.
My entire life, I have been approached at his openings. What's it like to be the daughter of William Eggleston? I wanted to turn around to people and say, what was it like? Do you want to trade places with me? Please. And I spent my entire life just wanting to be normal.
Eggleston's subjects can seem hauntingly ordinary. Most people want something obvious, he said. I am at war with the obvious. Even for his daughter Andra, Eggleston's images have not been easy to decipher.
What does this man see? What are these photographs?
But his music has always reached her.
When I was little and he was a total stranger to me, a total enigma, I would hear him playing the piano and it would just stop me in my tracks. Like it was like my love song.
His drawings have touched her too. Colorful, abstract sketches Eggleston's been making for decades. He's filled countless notebooks.
Do you have any idea how many drawings you've done?
Thousands.
And where do they all end up?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Huh. Find them in very strange places.
That's right.
2 years ago, Andra, who studied textile design, suddenly had an inspiration to turn her father's drawings into fabrics.
He said, God damn, that's beautiful. What is that? And I said, that's your drawing.
That new partnership between the 76-year-old artist and his 44-year-old daughter has changed the fabric of their relationship.
The drawings were like our language, where we could sort of communicate, and I hadn't really had that with him. I never had that with him in his photography. I just didn't.
In the 60s, Eggleston ignored the prevailing wisdom that color photography was commercial, even vulgar.
Fine art photography didn't exist in color.
Why did you want to see more in color?
Everything is in color out there.
Raised on the family farm in Tallahatchie County, Mississippi, Eggleston shot pictures across the American South. They focus on the mundane world, Eudora Welty wrote, but no subject is fuller of implications.
People describe in your photographs something slightly unsettling.
They should.
You should?
That's not a conscious thing, though.
Why do you think it's there?
I don't know.
In 1976, Eggleston had his first major show at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. He was late to his own opening. When his family went to fetch him, this is how they found the artist. Critics at the time were equally unmoved. The New York Times called the exhibition perfectly boring.
People would have been pretty devastated by their initial response to your work.
That's what I kept hearing.
But it didn't faze you?
No. I couldn't understand why they didn't make sense to them.
Eventually, the art world caught up. In 2012, a large print of his Memphis tricycle sold at auction for $578,000. Eggleston's life has been as unconventional as his art. In Memphis, a friend once said, he was dashing and corrupt like a count. He was close to his wife Rosa, but also lived with other women.
Were you and your brothers confused by your parents' living arrangements?
I was. I don't think they were.
Andra remembers one night a brick flew through the window at home.
I have a mom. My dad has a girlfriend. They're still married, but the ex-girlfriend threw the brick through the window. And all I was thinking is, God, this is going to end up in the papers. Because everything my dad did at that time, for some reason, ended up in the papers.
Rosa Eggleston's death last summer also brought father and daughter closer. In Nashville, where she lives with her husband and son, Andra Eggleston launched her new fabrics last year at the Wilder Design Store.
This is probably the most popular pillow. This is the Berlin.
Her line, called Electra Eggleston, has been written up in W Magazine. The French fashion house Agnes Bay is making dresses out of her fabrics.
I can't even tell where the repeat on this is.
Well, that's my magic.
It is, it works.
It's all deepened her relationship with her father.
He started looking at things in a different way. And I never thought I would get William Eggleston to look at something in a different way. Me?
Do you think he got a clearer pathway to you as well?
I do. I do. He said a lot of things to me recently that I've never heard him say before.
Isn't she something?
He's just always been very silent. He has been supportive in his own way, but he's just never been so vocal.
What do you do with that except just take it?
Total and utter appreciation for what's happening. It's been very healing for me. It's helped me love him more.
Does it matter that it took so long?
No.
At the end of our day together, Bill Eggleston sat at the piano in his Memphis apartment and for half an hour just improvised.
I just close my eyes and hear that music. It still pierces me. It just sounds pure to me.
The piano, always this father's most powerful connection to his daughter, but no longer the only one.
There's a steep learning curve to being a new dad, but it's those early years that really stick in the memory banks that today we celebrate as much as ever. Being a new dad is being a witness to firsts.
Come on, come on.
There you go, buddy. There's your child's first steps. Called the first ice cream cone.
Is it good? Yeah. Again.
The first days at school.
Oh, it's
And the first time meeting your heroes. Yep, a lot of firsts. Until the second comes along. Then the firsts take on a whole new meaning. There's the first realization that baby brother is here to stay. There's the sharing of toys and books and clothes, begrudgingly all at first. But eventually, there's that first kiss. And in that moment, being a new dad 2 times over is second to none.
Have a birthday!
Steve Hartman has what may be the perfect story for this Father's Day 2020.
Deep inside Japrags Park in Heinsberg, Vermont, there's a mystery. Back in 2011, someone walked way out here under the cover of night and installed a mailbox, leaving no explanation aside from that 3-letter clue, D-A-D.
After keeping it secret for so many years, I knew that somebody would find out about it and want to share it with others, and I think now is a great time to share it.
Barry Lampke put it there because he has always been a letter writer, and his favorite pen pal was always his father, George.
That was my way to connect with him, and so when he passed away, about a year later, I realized that piece of our relationship was missing. And so that's when I decided to find a way to continue that connection.
Again, until recently, no one knew how it got there, but many have stumbled upon it, peeked inside, and made it their connection too. Strangers now leave blank journals for others to write in, and today there are hundreds of messages to dads gone by. You showed me how kind and gentle a truly strong man is. How challenging it is sometimes to keep you a part of my life when the living are so needy. I often wish I could see you, but I don't miss you because your spirit glides by so often. And of course, the most recent entry.
Daddy-o, for so long it was our private conversation, but so many people have found this to be a place of love, appreciation, and healing. As we struggle to survive this pandemic and heal the wounds that we have created as a country, your gift will be a place where we can all come together to connect with our dads and share their stories. Love forever and a day, Barry.
And with that, the portal closes yet again, ready for the next grateful child to come along.
Father knows best about a lot of things, we'll all agree. But fashion? Really? To which Moraka says, yes, really.
You may not think of Balenciaga as your father's fashion house, and no, your father probably has no idea what a fashion house is. But at the Spanish luxury brand's most recent annual show, the dad look dominated. No skinny jeans here. Instead, the runway was awash in washed-out denim, oversized jackets, and Hawaiian prints, with a couple of kids to complete the ensemble.
Dad style is kind of what we've called it.
Max Berlinger wrote about this sexy, unsexy trend for the New York Times.
A few years ago, we talked about dad bod. I think dad style is kind of that natural progression of taking what a kind of red-blooded American dad represents and adopting that and making it popular and cool.
Dadcore, as Vogue dubbed it, wasn't always cool. Former President Barack Obama said he was unfairly maligned for his jeans. But one of the look's actual founding fathers wasn't even a dad when he sported dad wear in his own 1990s sitcom.
You gonna see her again? Friday night?
Jerry Seinfeld is kind of a good dad, kind of the high-waisted light denim, kind of a chunky white sneaker.
By the way, Elaine does not need to know about anything.
Hey. I dig.
What are dads gravitating towards now?
So it's definitely still about, it's the chino that's having a comeback.
Erica Russo is a fashion director for Bloomingdale's.
You can't talk about dad style without talking about the Hawaiian shirt. It's having such a comeback. Wow. Love this. So if you think about, years past, dad, Hawaiian shirt, chino shorts, it would always be something like, but actually now it's something like, yes, looks so good, so now, so happening.
And with dad wear, things we wished never happened are suddenly happening. The fanny pack. A lot of people consider it the fashion third rail.
Yes, well, you know what? Fanny pack is a fanny must because it is having such a moment. This is for all day wear. You wear it on a crossbody like this, looks fabulous, a little bit slung, you just look cooler. So these are the must-have. These are the Gucci dad sneakers, characterized by this more thick sole, this more exaggerated look. Love it when it's distressed. Actually, the more distressed, the better. Feels a little bit more like a heritage shoe.
Wow. So you can wear these on the runway and for raking leaves.
Absolutely.
How much do these retail for?
So these are around $1,000.
Uh-huh. Retailers may love the trend, but what do the actual experts think? Okay, so these are sort of your air dads.
These are my air dads.
Lance Sommerfeld is the co-founder of City Dads Group, which connects thousands of fathers around the country.
I think dads should walk out of their homes every day in what they feel comfortable wearing. Mm-hmm. The dads we're seeing these days are chaperoning field trips. They're the ones at the doctor's office appointments. They're the ones who are helping their kids with homework.
Yes, dad wear is an aesthetic, dictated most of all by comfort. This is a more monochromatic look than I'm used to with you.
Well, it's really the only thing that I had that was clean today, so.
Got it.
Yeah.
For Gavin Boyle, the dad look comes naturally. He's a father of two and a senior producer at CBS Sunday Morning. So for all our sakes, this better go well. Okay, so this is the weekend look. Yeah. And you could use this for anything from
Well, from anything to mowing the lawn to going to Home Depot, things that I do during the weekend.
Okay, and it's comfortable.
And it's comfortable.
Let's talk about what's going on downtown. Your pants.
What about them? They're jeans.
And Erica Russo, it turns out. Erica, this is Gavin.
Hi,
Erica.
Gavin.
How are
So
you?
nice
Pleased
to meet you.
Likes him. Assess his look.
Yeah, so Gavin, he's rocking actually the look that we're talking about right now. He's kind of working with an oversized shirt here, a light denim wash.
What do you think of his footwear?
He's actually has this more of the aggressive sole sneaker on. Definitely feels like it's lived in.
And would you slowly turn around for Erica?
Yeah, Erica, my pleasure.
Still, Erica thinks Gavin is due for a fashion reboot. And if you've ever watched TV before, you know what's about to happen.
Oh,
Nice,
like
nice. Look at you. All right.
Gavin, how do you feel?
Well, I feel very comfortable. I feel like, easy breezy. I feel like I'm on an episode of The Love Boat. It's great.
And to finish off the look.
And it just feels fresh. You can carry some of your essentials here. It's kind of hands-free, really ease. Once again, comfortable.
My two sons are going to love this on television.
This Father's Day, it's worth remembering. $800 Ferragamo fanny packs may come and go, but dads are perennial.
Thank you. Now, can I say one thing to you all? You're fired. Not you.
On this Father's Day, a story from David Begnaud about tough love and a man who found the tools for forgiveness.
Did your dad ever tell you he loved you?
No, not once. I wanted him to so badly. And I felt like if I was the first one to say I love you, that somehow maybe it would be worth less. Dad and I would just head off across the prairie.
Trent Preszler says that his hardscrabble life, growing up on a cattle ranch in Faith, South Dakota, was made tougher because of his relationship with his father, Leon, a former rodeo champion and a Vietnam War veteran.
And one day you're hammering some cans because you take aluminum cans to make money.
Right.
So you're hammering these cans and you end up destroying some bricks that are a part of the patio.
Yes.
And next thing you know, as the story goes, your dad punches you in the face.
Yes, he did. Only one time.
But you never forgot it.
Never forgot it.
What did it do to you?
Well, it made me afraid of him. It made me kind of question my place with him, and that I was trying so hard to live up to my dad's expectations. And it made me feel like maybe it would never be possible that I could.
In 2000, his sister Lucy, 2 years older, died of a rare illness at the age of 25.
After your sister's funeral, you come out to your dad, and he says what to you?
We ain't never gonna talk about that again. And we didn't. He wasn't kidding.
Fast forward to 2014. Trent was living in New York and had gone nearly a decade estranged from his father when his mother asked him to come home and visit for Thanksgiving. Trent's dad was very sick.
When I visited him in the hospital, the last time I saw him alive, when his cancer had flared up again, I leaned in to give him a hug on his hospital bed, and he gripped me so tight. I mean, I could feel his hands like digging into the back of my shirt. And I thought maybe that would be the moment finally when my father said, "I love you." And he didn't. So the last words my father said to me were, "Drive safe, okay?"
In life, Trent was sure that he had very little in common with his dad.
But that all came crashing down when I saw him lying in his casket. I looked at his hands and I thought, oh my God, I have the same hands as my dad. And my mom always said that your father could build anything. And it was that moment when I thought, well, if he could build anything with his hands, maybe I can too. I have his calipers.
In his workshop is the only thing his father left him, his toolbox. After his father's death, Trent spent the year obsessed and teaching himself how to shape, refine, and finish, of all things, a canoe. And this is not just any canoe. This is a canoe made by his own hand that has buyers around the world wanting him to build more at a price point of $100,000 a canoe.
So it was almost like Dad saying, I'm going to give you just enough to get you on the road, and then you got to figure the rest out yourself.
Is this a business or is it a hobby?
Well, I'd say it's both, but it has become a business. I've sold 2 boats. I have a 3rd boat on commission now. And the great part about it is that it still feels like a hobby. It still feels like a passion project.
So after it gets the cork in the capsule, when the bottle comes in here, it gets the front label.
By day, the 44-year-old is CEO of a winery on the North Fork of Long Island. And in April, his memoir, Little and Often, was released. It's about his journey, growing up the son of a cowboy in South Dakota, and how building a canoe from scratch led to some self-discovery.
I realize now that I think maybe he knew that when he knew he was about to die, because when that moment came to say goodbye, he didn't hold back a single ounce of his love. Whether that was just saying, you know, drive safe, or if that was saying, here, take my tools and make something of yourself. That was all he could give.
Finish this line for me. I wish I would have told him.
I wish I would have told him that I loved him. And I wish I would have thanked him for all the lessons that he taught me growing up.
Little and Often, the title of your book.
Yes.
Means what?
Well, it means that extraordinary things can happen if we just focus on doing little ordinary tasks every day. And building this canoe with my dad's tools kind of beat that lesson into me, where it was like, no, 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 this is the only way it's going to happen. You can't do this any other way. Dad's way is the little and often way.
Thinking about the title of the book, what I'm thinking is to love on this Father's Day, little and often is good enough.
It sure is.
On this Father's Day, Lee Cowan has a story about a man whose search for his biological father led to revelations that were far more surprising than he ever dreamed.
This tale, like so many good yarns, begins with baseball.
Love that inside pitch.
Matt Katz is a lifelong Mets fan. Playing ball with his son Ruben is what Father's Day memories are made of. But growing up, Matt's experience of Father's Day was about as complicated as a triple play.
Did my birth father like baseball? Does he like baseball? And because I had for many years no contact with my birth father, I would wonder about like little things like that.
Matt was raised by his Jewish mother, Roberta, and Richard, his Jewish stepfather.
As far as I'm concerned, he is my son.
His father was out of the picture, and he felt rejected.
And he tried to mend that?
He did. He tried to see him, but it didn't work out.
No matter how much of a dad I am, he still needed to know where he came from.
But as a boy, Matt rarely got any answers to that question.
Why isn't he interested in hanging out with me? Why isn't he interested in knowing me? Where is he?
When he was about the age his daughter Sadie is now, Matt noticed something.
I look different from other people in my family, and also a little bit different from other people at Hebrew school. I had lighter features, redder hair.
My elderly grandmother was like, no, he's not Jewish. And
Deborah, Matt's wife, is of Ashkenazi Jewish descent. So is Matt's mom, and so is his presumed biological father. So where in the world did the fair features come from?
I took a DNA test, as did my wife, just to see if we could, figure out a little bit more about our people.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting to find out, I was 100% Jewish.
And instead?
Instead, I found out I was just half Ashkenazi, Eastern European Jewish, and I was half Irish.
I'm not saying that.
It seemed inconceivable, and yet it sort of made sense, too.
I would look at myself in the mirror and be like, wow, holy crap. You do look like a half-Jewish, half-Irish guy.
Just like a four-leaf clover, his family tree started to blossom. He found out that he had 3 half-siblings as well.
It's like wild to be like middle-aged and like all of a sudden have sister-in-laws and cousins, and I mean, that never existed before.
But here's the thing. None of them knew their dad either. But one of them knew something the others didn't.
She tells me that she was conceived via sperm donor.
Which likely meant Matt was too.
So you get this information, and then you got to have a pretty awkward conversation with your mom.
Yes.
Right? How did that go?
I was very nervous about it.
Now, we should preface what follows by saying Matt is a Peabody Award-winning journalist at WNYC Public Radio in New York.
The Manhattan District Attorney's Office announced that...
He's used to tracking down answers. He's used to asking tough questions, but not of his own mother.
Yeah, I remember sitting on the couch, and he prefaced the conversation with how much he loves me and how much he loves Richard, and then he threw the bombshell.
I said, did you ever get fertility assistance when you were trying to have me? She says, yes, they tried to get pregnant for many years, and it was hard.
She said they had indeed gone to a doctor who discovered the problem wasn't her, but him.
I wasn't hiding anything from anyone. The only thing I was hiding was the fact that I had artificial insemination, but I thought it was with my former husband, so.
And then I told her, well, that's not what happened. It was donor sperm that you were inseminated with. And she put her hand over her mouth, and I think she might have used the S word.
Once all of us were conceived in the same manner. Then came new reproductive methods.
What Roberta didn't know is that back then doctors treating male infertility would sometimes mix a husband's genetic material with an anonymous donor's, ostensibly to help improve the couple's chances. Now, Matt was born happy and healthy. But the secrecy of it all left him in the dark about his true dad, and his mom wondering with whom she had had a child.
Do you wonder about him? Like, there's this...
Yeah, I do. I could have walked down the street and he could have been there, and, you know, I wouldn't have known.
He was a shadow from 1970s Manhattan, a ghost who it seemed didn't really want to be found. Some of Matt's friends even questioned if Matt should keep trying.
The devil you know might be better than the devil you don't, right? You had no idea where this was going.
No, there's a risk there, right? You don't know what you're going to find. You don't know if there's more hurt.
These look like mathematical calculations on how to get to the moon.
Right.
But Matt and his half-siblings doubled down. A professional DNA sleuth was brought in, and eventually a picture turned up of a man with the same long face, same eyes, same hairline as all of them. His name was Vincent McNally. But Matt needed more proof.
He had to have been in New York City on the day I was conceived.
Sure enough, in an old 1976 New York City phone book, a Vincent McNally was listed with an address in Greenwich Village. It was just brick and mortar, but to Matt, it was gold.
I mean, I feel it in my body. I do.
Yeah.
I feel like a sensation. He was here, and he was in my presence in some way.
That's Vincent McNally in costume. Turns out he was a professional stage actor. He donated sperm as a way to earn extra money. Matt found pictures of him, theater reviews, and playbills, including an eerie description of one of his final performances.
And one of those plays, his estranged children, adult children, come back and find him.
Lollipop.
But the ghost Matt had been chasing all his life eluded him one final time. Just before Matt was going to call him to tell him the news, he found a death notice. Vincent McNally had passed away just 4 years prior.
Maybe we were never supposed to meet in person.
Just yesterday, Matt celebrated his daughter's bat mitzvah. 2 of his 3 half-siblings were there too. A blending of a now extended family, long overdue. His smile makes it clear that Matt has finally made peace with his past. In part, he believes, because talking about it has been healthy. He turned his journey into a podcast, Inconceivable Truth.
I don't think he's my father.
Holy
that's found an audience of other people whose ancestry search is still ongoing. For Matt, he's just thankful for the stepdad that he's celebrating on this Father's Day, the only man, it turns out, in Matt's life truly worthy of the title Dad.
You don't need to keep searching anymore.
I don't, but I can keep telling the story because it's a cool story.
It was the moment at this year's Grammys. Country music star Luke Combs singing alongside 1980s icon Tracy Chapman on her song Fast Car. Their performance went viral, but as Califasane explains, there's a lot more to Luke Combs than that night at the Grammys.
You know what, I'd love to hear you sing along. He's one of the biggest names in country music, but Luke Combs knows that his rendition of an 80s classic has earned him another title.
You got a fast car, and I want to take it to anywhere.
Oh yeah, Luke Combs, Fast Car.
The Fast Car guy, the guy that covered Fast Car. He's got some other songs, yeah.
A lot of other songs, and enough fans to fill this Super Bowl-sized stadium 2 nights in a row. In less than a decade, Combs has topped Billboard's country airplay chart 17 times. He's known for his big voice, his catchy choruses, and his down-to-earth attitude.
Who are you to your fans?
Gosh, man, I'm really not very different than them, you know? I'm a decently average-looking guy to below-average-looking guy, okay? Let's be honest here, you know what I mean? I don't take myself too seriously.
A Luke Combs concert has no pyrotechnics and no costume changes, just a guy in a black fishing shirt.
When I started playing music, it was me and a guitar and a song and somebody that wanted to hear it. Whether that was 3 people in my living room or 50,000 people in a stadium. It's always been about the connection between me and whoever's listening.
Combs, 34, grew up in North Carolina, an only child crazy about music.
As long as I can remember, I've just been singing.
You got a fast car, now I want to take it to anywhere. Here I am, baby.
It was just constantly listening to music and singing along to stuff on the radio and being in chorus class. I just enjoyed that.
I get carried away by the look.
I started learning guitar at 21, and by 22 I had played a show and just became like, this is the avenue that I want to take in my life, you know, and it didn't come easy. I wrote a lot of bad songs, but I just enjoyed the process so much that it never felt like work.
He moved to Nashville, where he played every bar that would have him and tried to get the attention of record executives.
Did you never get discouraged? Like, man, these labels are never going to sign me.
Man, I did, and I think the thing that was the most discouraging was I felt like at that time, I'm not getting passed over for, like, my ability. Like, I'm getting passed over because, like, I don't look the part. That was frustrating, but I never let it bum me out because I was happy doing what I wanted to do. And regardless of anyone else's opinion, I was making a living, I was doing it, like, I'm a college dropout, I'm here, my parents aren't paying my bills, like, I'm doing it.
Then you rode in with your hair in the wind, baby, without warning.
And what that ended up meaning was that when you get signed, when you get a single put out and get on the radio, you were ready. The Luke Combs thing just takes off immediately.
It happened.
Song goes to number 1. Next one goes to number 1.
It happened, man.
Next one.
Luke Combs!
The Country Music Association named him Entertainer of the Year twice in a row. But for him, the biggest honor was the chance to sing a song he has loved all his life with the woman who wrote it.
I'm at the Grammys, dude. Like, I'm singing Fast Car with Tracy Chapman. What is going on, dude? Like, Taylor Swift is bopping to, he's singing Fast Car, dude. What is happening, dude? Stick a fork in me, dude, because I'm done. Like, I'm so good with that. All right, see you down there.
Combs lives outside of Nashville.
You feel more at home in one of these or in a tour bus?
Oh, gosh, one of these for sure.
Where he and his wife Nicole are raising their 2 boys.
I hope he never finds out that I didn't hang the moon.
They inspired his new album, Fathers and Sons.
Every song has something to do with fatherhood or, you know, being a son or being a dad.
It's a concept album.
In some ways, like,
Yeah.
it's a way less smart concept album, you know?
Maybe I'll finally be the man he sees in me.
For Luke, it was an opportunity to pay tribute to his father, Chester Combs.
My parents both worked 50 hours a week. You know, my dad was essentially a maintenance man. You know, he was a very creative guy that was trapped in the blue-collar world.
Luke's dad was surprised but supportive when he said he wanted to be a singer.
He was excited about me pursuing something in the creative field, but he was also pretty realistic about how difficult it would be to achieve that.
It might work out.
He says he's open-minded about his own sons, Tex and Bo.
But I'll love whoever you turn out to be.
Whatever they decide to pursue or whoever they decide to love, it doesn't matter to me. Like, as long as they're happy and they're fulfilled in their life, like, that's what I care about.
Beautiful, crazy.
Of course, what he's chosen is a life on the road.
Obviously, I'm gone 3 days a week, but I want them to know that even with my career, the biggest probably that it will ever be, that they were my #1 priority.
We played in Australia, we played in Europe, we played in Canada.
It's the irony of your life, right? That you're leaving home, you're traveling all over the world, and singing songs about your life back home.
Yeah. It's exciting to go get to play shows, but I dread leaving them and my wife. I know I'm going to go live my dreams and do everything that I ever wanted to do. But sometimes everything you ever wanted to do changes. They move.
And so Luke Combs splits his time between family and football stadiums.
And I'm on number way.
Not bad for a not-so-regular guy in a fishing shirt.
You know, I'm just really thankful that people have found something about me that they love. And whatever that is, I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, I'm still one number away.
Long before I went on the road, there was one road, Malcolm Road in Toledo, Ohio. There was one house, number 1053, and one man, my number 1.
You recognize any of these?
Sure do. My father, George Hartman, built this house himself back in 1955.
I sure do. How long were you planning on living here?
The rest of my life. But when we built this house, we didn't consider stairs as a factor when you got old.
And so here we are. At that moment, elderly parents and their grown children seemed to dread equally the selling of the family home.
I prefer to stay, but you also have to realize that all good things come to an end.
After my mom died last year, it became increasingly difficult for him to manage on his own. So last month, my brother Joe and I went to Toledo to pack up his things.
You see what that is?
What is that?
My mother's hair when she died. She never got gray hair, as you can see.
I would have taken your word for it.
We spent a couple days trying to help Dad with his downsizing.
Yeah, I don't want to throw anything away like that.
Okay.
Which at times felt more like same-sizing.
Shoehorn?
Yeah, I was looking for that.
But when pressed, the only things that truly mattered centered on either his faith,
rosary,
yeah,
or his family.
I love you, Dad. Happy Valentine's Day.
You want to throw that away?
No.
A house that raised a family is so much more than wood and shingles. It's home to almost every memory of our younger lives. It's in the background of everything we were and helped make us who we are. It's where we learned to feel safe, sound, and sometimes even invincible. Yes, technically a house is just a place, but at times like this, it sure feels more like a person. My dad is now moving to a one-story apartment near my other brother, Mike, in Atlanta.
There you go, Dad.
And although I know he's not going to like it at first, hopefully, eventually, he'll be able to focus less on what he left behind and more on what he made possible.
Father's Day is special for dads everywhere, particularly our Jim Gaffigan.
It's Father's Day. Every third Sunday in June, we honor all the men who have generously taken on the role of dad in some child's life. Today, these men will be the recipients of coffee mugs, neckties, and barbecue equipment, which they will cherish for at least a day. But what about the guys who don't have children? The men who've never volunteered to be a dad-like figure in someone's life? What do we even call these men? I mean, besides happy, lucky, or smart. On paper, being a father is a bad investment. Financially, emotionally, physically, mentally. I could go on. It's not surprising some men choose to not be a parent. It makes sense some guys would forgo eventually hearing their own teenage offspring whisper, "Can you act like you don't know me?" At times I envy these non-father men, but we can't compare these men to a father. Heck, I don't even think these men should be considered adults. How are these guys different from a pampered toddler, really? What, a driver's license, a bank account? What do these toddler men even do with their free time? They probably just call it time. Are there worries or concerns that keep these men up at night? What am I gonna have for breakfast? They probably just eat their breakfast in quiet. No screaming, no conflict, just quiet. Yeah, there's no comparison. One man has a rich, fulfilling life, and the other is a dad. So sorry, Father's Day is not for them. Those childless men will have to sit today out. Sure, they have other days, and yeah, there are 364 of those days, but not today. Today is Father's Day.
On this Father's Day, Jim Axelrod is giving us a read on a new book, My Father's List, distributed by our corporate siblings, Simon & Schuster. It tells the story of a daughter, her dad, and a list of some pretty challenging unfinished business.
In her small apartment in Montclair, New Jersey, Laura Carney's dreams are coming true.
It's so cool to finally hold it in my hands.
Just like her father always knew they would, even if unaware of exactly the role he'd play.
Laura Carney, My Father's List, How Living My Dad's Dreams Set Me Free.
Laura's first book was just published,
so weird. It's
a
my
dream
creation.
born of a nightmare 20 years ago.
And I remember thinking how angry I was that he didn't finish his life. You know, that he didn't get to do all the things he set out to do.
Mick Carney was killed in a car crash at the age of 54.
Was he a good dad?
Yeah, oh, the best.
A sensitive, sentimental, and, like so many of our fathers, complicated man. Loving.
You're the best thing I've ever done.
You're the best thing I've ever done.
That's what he said all the time.
But he also left her a lot to sift through, like when he split from her mom when Laura was just a girl.
When he left, when you were 6, was there something you had to overcome?
Oh, of course. Of course. I believed he abandoned us for a long time.
So weird, his handwriting, right?
It's not easy. It's not easy to read.
What she's sifted through the last 6 years is a list of all those things Mick Carney set out to do. 60 items he wrote down when he was 29. He'd only had a chance to try 6 when he was killed.
What do you think the value of writing a bucket list is?
You know, not only are you writing down your intentions for your life, but you're also committing to showing the world who you are authentically. So even if you don't finish it, maybe your kids find it someday, and then they know what you cared about, and that matters. Things I would like to do in my lifetime.
When her brother found the list in 2016,
I couldn't help but notice talk with the president right away.
talk to a president, correspond with the Pope, run 10 miles.
Swim the width of a river, surf in the Pacific Ocean.
She was intimidated.
And then I just got this image in the back of my mind of my dad's face smiling and nodding. That never happened before, so that was the thing that really made me feel like, oh, I need to do this.
But when she and her husband Stephen headed to Georgia and Jimmy Carter's Sunday service,
if you want a photograph, you can stay.
Daunted turned to inspired.
So what happened?
I said, President Carter, my father wrote down that he wanted to meet you on his bucket list, and I'm checking that off for him today. And he said, oh, very good. This was the most impossible list item, and we did it. And I think everything changed after that, because if I could do the most impossible one, then what was to stop me from doing the rest?
Ever since, she's been checking them off.
Why are there so
Record 5 songs.
songs about rainbows?
Sailed by herself.
All right, here we go.
Skydive.
Was any part of you, as you would read this, be like, come on, Dad? Like,
Yeah. But when I would be in the middle of doing them, I just had this feeling that my dad wouldn't let me fail.
Maybe the most challenging for this reluctant driver was hopping behind the wheel of a Corvette.
I took it slow, and I knew it was the same highway where my dad's crash had happened.
But the challenge was where the healing was.
I felt like I now could associate a new memory with driving. And the car phobia went away. Then all of a sudden I was taking long trips and driving myself. I changed the narrative. My dad and I weren't victims of something anymore.
No, they weren't. With the help of her long-gone dad, Laura was learning to rethink her approach to life.
but underpinning this entire list is do things to enjoy doing them.
That's right, which I wasn't doing.
Your dad was teaching you through this list that you derive pleasure from the doing, not how well you do it, from the doing of it.
It opened my heart, which had been shut down.
Chapter 12, Own a Black Tux.
So now Laura Carney is sharing what she learned by completing the list, how she made her connection to her father's memory 54 times tighter, and found peace in the process.
So I'm not stuck in that day when he died anymore. Now I'm living in the present, and I'm going and doing all these incredibly fun things. Everybody has that possibility to still have that connection, because even though people die, love is something that never dies.